The phone rang just once before it stopped, but that single unanswered ring would have cost a billion-dollar empire everything. In the marble-floored lobby of a luxury hotel in New York City, where power walked past in tailored suits and exhaustion hid behind polished smiles, a concierge named Michael Reynolds felt a sudden, unexplainable urgency tighten in his chest. He had already worked a double shift, his feet aching, his mind heavy with worries he carried home every night, but something told him to reach for the receiver again. That instinct, quiet, ordinary, and almost ignored, would soon place him at the center of a moment that would change the fate of a billionaire CEO's most important client and quietly redefine his own life forever. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the unseen power of ordinary people, please take a moment right now to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. Stories like this remind us that even the smallest actions can carry extraordinary weight. Michael Reynolds was 39, a hotel concierge by title and a caretaker of life's loose ends by nature. He knew the rhythm of the lobby better than his own heartbeat, the early morning rush of executives, the hush of late-night arrivals, the constant hum of urgency beneath luxury. He had learned to smile through fatigue and absorb other people's stress without ever showing his own. At home in a modest Queens apartment, his aging mother depended on him, and the cost of her medication sat like a quiet threat in the back of his mind. Dreams had been postponed so long they felt like something meant for other people. Still, Michael showed up every day, straightened his tie, and answered the phone as if every call mattered, because to someone, it always did. That afternoon, the hotel buzzed with tension. Jonathan Caldwell, a billionaire CEO whose influence reached across continents, was staying in the penthouse while negotiating a high-stakes partnership that could reshape his global portfolio. His most critical client, a German manufacturing giant, was expected to confirm a deal worth hundreds of millions by end of day. Every executive involved was watching the clock. Every minute mattered. When the phone at the concierge desk rang again, displaying an international code from Germany, Michael noticed the hesitation in the line, the faint distortion that hinted at urgency rather than routine. The call had been redirected twice already. It was dangerously close to being dismissed. Michael answered without hesitation, steadying his voice as he listened carefully, catching the strain in the caller's breathing, the subtle panic beneath formal courtesy. Years of experience had taught him to listen beyond words. The man on the other end was not calling to book a suite or ask for directions, he was trying to prevent a collapse. The German client had received incorrect financial verification documents earlier that morning, documents that suggested instability where none existed. The misunderstanding was spiraling fast, and no one from Caldwell's executive team was reachable. Time zones, meetings, and assumptions were closing doors one by one. Michael felt the weight of the moment settle on his shoulders. He was not an executive, not a strategist, not someone trained to handle billion-dollar crises. He was a concierge. But he was also someone who understood responsibility, who had spent a lifetime fixing problems quietly because no one else was available. He verified details, cross-checked names, and followed protocol with careful precision, pulling archived confirmations and internal notes he remembered seeing earlier in the day. Each second stretched thin as he worked, knowing one misstep could end his job and possibly the deal itself. What Michael didn't know was that Jonathan Caldwell, upstairs in the penthouse, was already bracing for failure. The CEO had built his empire on speed and certainty, but this deal had slipped into uncertainty, and the silence from Germany felt ominous. He assumed the call would come too late or not at all. Downstairs, unseen and uncelebrated, Michael stayed on the line, calmly clarifying figures, correcting the error, and routing verified documentation through the proper channels. He did not raise his voice. He did not ask for credit. He simply did what needed to be done. When the call ended, the lobby felt unchanged, but something invisible had shifted. Minutes later, confirmation arrived. The German client reaffirmed the partnership, trust restored, crisis averted. Jonathan Caldwell learned only later that the rescue had not come from his legal team or senior advisors, but from a concierge who refused to let a call go unanswered. The realization struck him harder than any boardroom battle ever had. Power had nearly failed him, while humility had saved him. Near the end of that evening, Michael was summoned upstairs. His heart pounded as he walked through corridors he usually only saw from a distance. The conversation that followed was brief, sincere, and life-altering. Jonathan Caldwell saw not just an employee, but a man of rare reliability and judgment. Opportunities followed, training, advancement, and a future Michael had never allowed himself to imagine. More importantly, his mother's medications no longer came with fear attached. The quiet anxiety that had ruled his nights finally loosened its grip. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and engage with this video. Your support helps bring more stories of humanity, courage, and quiet heroism to light. Before the ending, we have a special request for you. Please comment below and tell us, have you ever made a small decision that changed something far bigger than you expected? Michael Reynolds returned to the lobby the next day, standing a little taller, answering the phone with the same calm professionalism as always. The marble floors still gleamed, the suits still rushed past, and most people never knew how close everything had come to falling apart. But Michael knew. And sometimes, as the phone rang and he reached to answer it, he smiled, not because he had saved a billionaire's biggest client, but because he had learned that being unseen did not mean being unimportant. In a world driven by power and speed, it was kindness, attention, and courage in the smallest moments that truly held everything together.